Lincoln Park Questions Not Asked video series. These are the questions that were not asked at the Lincoln Park City Council study session of 9/20, the first part regarding the building department. The three questions that were not asked. And they're so glaring that it's not surprising to me because I know how these things go. Question number 1 should have been to city management. In the year that you've been city manager now, have you had time to review the annual reviews of the building department manager of the last 3 years that he has held that position? Question number 2. Now that you have to the city manager, now that you have been there a year, have you filed your first annual review of the current building department building department manager? Question and what is the content of that review? Question number 3. In the 3 years that the current building department manager has been there, and that the current city manager has been there, and the previous city manager, and the 7 years that we've been working on trying to make a cohesive building department, what are the metrics that we use to measure our processes, our successes, our failures? What are the metrics that we are measuring? Of course, number 1, there are no annual reviews of department heads because the city doesn't do that. Number 2, like all other department heads, there is no current annual review because there is nothing in place to do that. Imagine that. No annual review of your department heads within a municipal government. Number 3, there are no metrics that are used to measure. Nothing's been put in place. It's all just kind of fumbling along. The current government has not recommended any metrics. Current city management has not recommended any metrics for how to gauge the successes, the failures, and the progress and the processes in place. And the reason I know this is because very quietly behind the scenes, and very few people notice, from 2015, I've been working to get a system of metrics and a process in place for the building department specifically. Now, the residents at large at City in Lincoln Park are learning that for the very first time because I worked on that quietly behind the scenes. It is 2021. It is 6 years later, and those processes are still being worked on to get into place. But currently, there is no cohesive process, and there are no metrics.